Hi, good morning, students. Today I am going to elaborate a little more on Ranga's marriage. I have already briefed you the central theme of Ranga's marriage in the previous video. So today I am going to expatiate a little bit on the story. So the story starts, the setting of the story is the village of Hosahalli. Okay, the narrator lived in the village of Hosahalli. Shyama, the narrator, jokes that nobody had heard of it because there was no mention of the village in the maps. And he blames the Britishers that since they did not know about Hosahalli, the Indian cartographers also did not bother to mention Hosahalli in the map. But Hosahalli was very, very important for the author. He loved his village like anything, and there was no other place better than Hosahalli for the author. Okay, and even its own people forget about it. Still, he speaks very highly about the place. According to him, it is the gem of the state of Mysore. It was famous for its sour mangoes, and just as the mangoes were special, everything found in the village, the creeper with large leaves which can be used as lunch plates, were also very famous. Now, people in Hosahalli were not very educated and did not get much exposure, did not know English, and Ranga was the first one in the Hosahalli village who was an accountant's son, had been to Bangalore for higher studies. He was the only one and the first one. Okay. Now, after he returns, now the author recalls an incident that happened 10 years ago. The village accountant was the first one to gather enough courage to send his son to Bangalore to study. Not many people knew English then. It was like a priceless commodity, going out for higher studies. That's why Ranga's homecoming was a great event. Now Ranga came back as a celebrity. A big crowd went to greet him. The narrator rushed to see him. Everyone was surprised that Ranga had not changed. He came out with a smile on his face. He still followed the rituals of his caste. He had the janevara on him, the janev, and he did the namaskara to the author in a very traditional manner. And people were happy to see that even though he has learned English in Bangalore, it did not leave any impact on his culture and heritage. The narrator, Ranga, noticed the narrator and respectfully touched his feet. Now, after seeing Ranga, quite educated and handsome, narrator decides to get him married. That afternoon, Ranga went to narrator's house with a couple of oranges. The narrator thought that such a fine and generous fellow should settle down and get married. He inquired about his plan to get married. Ranga said that he did not want to get married soon. He was searching for the right girl who was mature enough. He wanted to marry a girl he admired. Okay, so the narrator found the most suitable girl for him. It was Rama Rao's niece Ratna, and a pretty girl of 11 who had come to stay with him after her parents died. She was from a big town, so she knew how to play veena and harmonium, and she had a sweet voice. She was a pretty young girl. Okay, now the narrator starts all his tantrums, all his weird ideas in order to make a match between Ranga and Ratna. He felt that Ratna is the most suitable bride for Ranga, and Ranga would be the best match for the girl. Ratna knew Shyama as he was frequent visitor to Rama Rao's place. Ratna came to narrator's house. He requested her to sing a song. Meanwhile, he sent for Ranga also. Ranga came and stopped at the threshold. He did not want the singing to stop because he was very attracted with the sweet voice of Ratna, and he wanted the music to continue. And but he was curious about the singer. He was enchanted by her and kept glancing at her. So at one go he was attracted by the voice of Ratna as well as the look of Ratna. Okay, after a while he asked about Ratna. The narrator quite cunningly told that she was married. He said that, why are you so interested in the girl? Because you are not the marriageable kind. You want to choose your own partner. And by the way, the girl is married. But that was a lie. He wanted to test Ranga and see what was his attitude. Ranga was extremely disappointed to hear this. Next morning, the narrator went to the Shastri and tutored him about his plan. Now, this idea clicked into the author's mind that the matchmaking can be done by astrologers. In those days, the matchmaking was being done by astrologers. So he went to the Shastri of the village and tutored him that anyhow, even though both the horoscopes do not match, he has to say all the pretend that it is a correct match, and somehow he has to make the marriage possible. The narrator met Ranga at that afternoon, and after some manipulation succeeded to taking him to the Shastri. Okay. The narrator almost failed his own plan by saying that he had already met Shastri that very morning, but Shastri saved his plan. The narrator told Shastri that something was worrying poor Ranga and they sought his help. Okay. After making a pretension of calculation, Shastri said that it was about a girl. Then he said the girl's name was Ratna. Shyama's plan was bearing fruit. Now the author's plan of tutoring the Shastri was bearing fruit gradually. Actually, Ranga was highly interested in Ratna and he wanted to marry Ratna only, but he was shy enough to confide it to the author. But later on, there are some surprise on Ranga's face and even some happiness. On their return, Shyama went to Rama Rao's house and informed Ranga that Ratna wasn't actually married, and he asked Ranga about his feelings for her, and Ranga admitted that he liked Ratna, and then it was only a matter of time, and the marriage went off well. They got married and lived happily ever after. Okay, so and later on, when this Ranga and Ratna got a son, they called the narrator on his third birthday, and they also named the child after the name of the author, Shyama. And so author tauntingly said that, okay, this is again an English culture of keeping the son's name after the father's name or the grandfather's name, and so the story ends in a humorous note. Okay, so this is all about the story. Now all the short question and answers, which will be text based, you can answer them very well. Okay, like what were Ranga's views about marriage? Then why did the author decide Ranga to get married to Ratna? Then who was the what kind of a person do you think the narrator is? Then how can you say that Ranga still followed the rituals and traditions because he was wearing the Janevara and all those? And why we cannot find Hosahalli in the map? Then how did the author convince the astrologer to make all pretensions? All these kind of short questions, if asked, that you can you have to be very thorough with the text and you can answer them on your own. Okay, and after this video, today I am going to upload this video, and after this I have prepared the long questions and value based questions which I am going to upload tomorrow. So that is all about Ranga's marriage. It's a very simple story, nothing much complicated, and you can all answer the questions. Okay, so with this we end the video today. Thank you, children.